Hi, welcome to a news episode of Sports Talk Central. I'm your host, Adeep Mahmood, with my normal co-host Hunter, and today we're going to be talking some first a couple weeks of the NFL season. We do have a couple of vacancies in college football. We're going to be focusing on one, and rest of the league in the NFL, and also I'll be talking a little bit about some news with the Orioles, and we can have the discussion on the GM on what this means for the Nationals as well, and how it connects. So Ravens Steelers. Ravens are 1-1. They when it, they blew a lead against the Bills. Now, to be fair, they probably do have more of these opportunities than most teams because of the way their offense they play in the first three quarters. So you're probably going to see them blow these leads. They came back and they had a massive win against the Browns, 41-17. Well, 41-10 before a garbage time touchdown. Steelers are 1-1 as well. They beat the Jets on an interception by, I believe, Jalen Ramsey in week one. I could be wrong
No,
on that one.
Ramsey was the interception last week.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was saying in
Sorry,
week one.
Ramsey was the interception yesterday.
Okay,
Ramsey had the big hit on fourth down last week against the Jets to clinch
okay.
it.
And then obviously they lost yesterday. But what were your thoughts on the Steelers and the Ravens as well? First 2 weeks.
The Steelers, the offense was great the first week, 30 plus points. We don't usually get to see that around here. It's not really since the Killer B days. I thought Rodgers was really good. Play action was working. He was hitting his throws, had a nice revenge game. Defense, a lot to be desired. Just getting torched by Justin Fields, both over in the air and on the ground. Breece Hall was running wild. And I was like, okay, it's week one. Let's see if they can adjust. They come back, very winnable game against the Seahawks, and they just blow it. Caleb Johnson doesn't know the kickoff rules, which I don't even know why he's back there returning kicks to begin with. He should not be returning kicks going forward. I want to see him more invigorated into the offense, but now that he made that mistake, I'm not sure that's going to happen, and they want to keep spoon-feeding Kenneth Gainwell a lot of carries, even though I think that's going to be like this year's Cordell Patterson. I think Gainwell is fine, but I think he's getting too many carries, especially now that Jaylen Warren is the running back one. And every time he would make a big play during the game yesterday, he would just come right out of the game. I just did not understand it whatsoever. Offense was a bit inconsistent yesterday, but I think the pass blocking was not good. Rodgers barely had any time to throw. Anytime they tried to do play action, they had a Seahawks player in his face where he was just getting sacked. I felt like the line just needs to do a lot better of just giving Rodgers a little bit more time to scan the field. Defensively, the same issues continue to pop up. The run game, there would be times where they would stop the run, but other times where they would just give up. You saw that clinching touchdown at the end to make it 31-17, third and goal from the 19-yard line, a simple pitch play, and no one is getting their assignment right, and the game is over at that point. The pass defense, they're just missing their assignments. They're not making enough plays. Like, they dialed up a really good blitz on that 3rd and 9. It was 24-17 at the time. And Patrick Queen rushes through the gap, and it looks like he's about to take down Darnold, and he just misses the play. Like, you got to make those type of plays in those situations. And I don't feel like, the scheme is as good as it should be right now. I understand a lot of the defensive starters are hurt. Derek Harmon's hurt. Alex Highsmith's going to be out for a few weeks. Joey Porter Jr. is still banged up. Deshaun Elliott is hurt. But you see a lot of these missed assignments, and it's like, this can't keep happening on a consistent basis. And this goes back to last season as well. I do think TJ needs to be a little bit more consistent. I understand that he is definitely getting double and triple teamed more than Myles Garrett. The numbers do say that for these first couple of games. I know Myles Garrett's obviously off to a great start, and he's arguably the best pass rusher in football. But TJ Watt is getting a lot of double teams, and he was even triple teamed at times yesterday. He was still impacted the game a little bit on a couple of drives, but I still want to see him get back to where he should be. So, there's some big concerns. I don't like the way Tomlin coached. He was a little scared on one of those 4th down and short situations at midfield. I think you're just living in your fears there. But, they have an opportunity here at D to win some games. Their next 4. They have New England and Drake May as quarterback. Minnesota, no J.J. McCarthy probably. He has a high ankle sprain. Cleveland with Joe Flacco. Cincinnati with Jake Browning. Those are their next 4 games. If you are a serious team that wants to win a playoff game this year, you have to win all 4 of those games. Like, even 3-1, I'm like, really? Like, those 4 teams do not have good quarterbacks. I know Aaron Rodgers isn't that good at this stage of his career either, But I think you got to be 5-1 going into, their next game. So we'll see. A lot of season left, but there's a lot of things they got to clean up.
Yeah, and I think with the Steelers, I mean, there's 3 or 4 teams that are up high. I mean, Bengals. I mean, Jake Browning's not bad. Like he can keep them competitive. I mean, at 3 months though, I don't know if he can.
That's tough. Like you're basically missing almost the whole season. It's going to be tough to see them still in playoff contention at that time. We'll see.
Right. Yeah, no, and then also like Ravens, Chiefs, Bills.
Yeah,
maybe because Steelers are kind of in that second group. Like I could see them getting especially if it's Ravens Steelers by the end of this year, because the Browns are the Browns, and the Bengals basically have a backup quarterback. And I mean, who knows? Like it'll be interesting what they do with their if they make a move for someone. If they make a move for someone like Jameis Winston, that's going to be very telling on how much they feel about Burrow versus if they go out and get a normal third string quarterback. So that's something to look out for. Ravens start off this year, both games, 2 big leads, averaging 40 to 41 points a game, which is good. You could definitely tell the defense tightened up in the second game, better rush lanes. Jair Alexander is still, he missed most of training camp. So he was inactive yesterday. I assume he's probably going to make an impact second half of the year. Offense looks great. I mean, Mark Andrews is still kind of slow. Isaiah Likely hasn't played yet. Patrick Ricard is such a big part of the offense. I know Derrick Henry, he's already fumbled twice this year, which is rare, but it's better to get those issues ironed out earlier. I wonder if you have better blocking. Do those fumbles don't happen as much? Zay Flowers has 42% of the catches. So he's getting into that wide receiver 1 territory. And if you notice the amount of money that wide receivers are getting, Zay Flowers is pushing near that $30 million a year range at this point. So I do so he's looking pretty good so far. Tyler Loop looks pretty good so far as a kicker. I know he got that extra point. The challenge, and now obviously the big thing, and this is going to be the big thing until they win the big game, they have these big leads. Can they maintain it? Now that's also, if you pay attention to the numbers, they do probably play in more of these games. So the problem with these games are the more games you play that qualify as a double-digit lead in the second half, the more likely you are to blow these leads, and also the more likely you are to maintain them. So that's the big thing we got to look at. I also think part of what happens in these games is these flukish plays that are huge momentum-changing plays. Derrick Henry fumbling the ball where he fumbled with the amount of time left. If he fumbles the ball at the 50-yard line, Hunter, what would you say? They probably that's probably another 20, 30 seconds that they use off the clock, give or take, if he fumbles it at the 50.
Yeah.
And then obviously if he fumbles it, the Bills have 1 or 2 more plays. That's give or take 15 seconds. Now you get into that last drive instead of 90
I will
seconds.
say, though, he does need to clean John Harbaugh. That is there's a long history of these blown leads. And I do think if they want to go all the way here, because I think the Chiefs are vulnerable this year, but I think they'll be fine. But still think they're very vulnerable. He's got to clean this up. You can't keep blowing a lot of these leads.
Yeah, and I think part of it, and I agree with you, and I think part of it is also the defensive coordinator is kind of playing softer coverage later on. It is the not getting a pass rush against these better opponents. You didn't see Josh Allen got sacked once in week 1, and that's a Madubuike sack. That's it. Like I said, it's these inopportune turnovers. How often do you see the Ravens are trying to maintain a lead and Lamar Jackson fumbles right when they're in field goal range or right when they're in the opponent's field goal range? And you saw with Derrick Henry, he fumbled and there was an interception. how many of these plays, like these plays tend to happen quite a bit. And it's like, oh, they tend to happen in these big games, and that turnover ratio can't help them at all. And that puts a strain on their defense. Now, I do like that they were a little bit more aggressive. And I do think that they probably have a college basketball type mindset where they get these big leads and it's like, okay, it's only 10 minutes. We got a 20-point lead. We got Lamar. We got Derrick Henry. We can play soft coverage and we got enough margin of error that we could play with. You don't necessarily have that against bigger opponents, and I do think you got to take shots. I do think you got to be a little bit more aggressive. I think that it's great having a college basketball type mindset to build up a lead, but you also kind of have to think inverse. Also, like when you later in the game when you have a big lead, you have to act as if it's a shorter lead, and you have to push it more. You can't be. It's like what's the next impactful play, the next scoring play, the next big pass play, the next big run play. The defense also has to be a little bit more aggressive and put more pressure. So there are things they could do. I do like that they have Derrick Henry. That's going to help them. Lamar, if you saw, I don't know, like if you saw the first two games, his outside the numbers, I think we can both agree on this. That's probably a weaker part of his game when he got into the league. Now, whether it's because of DeAndre Hopkins, whether it's because of better receivers, he's getting those catches now. Like, did you see the couple of catches that DeAndre Hopkins got?
Yep.
Yeah, like he's made great catches. If he can do better in those games, that's great. But yeah, I think that part of it, I do think that there's a lot to work with. I do think that over time they've kind of built up this roster to help maintain the lead. Now it's just can you be patient enough and not just find that right level of aggressive versus conservative. So let's talk about the rest of the league. I do first want to bring up this point. Cleveland, you didn't have a team for 3 years. And when the Ravens got to Baltimore, when they brought the team to Baltimore, you guys kept your colors. You guys kept your records. The the Baltimore Colts, all their records went with the Irsay family to Indianapolis. I do not want to hear, because I don't know if you saw how much of this you saw. There's a lot of people in the Cleveland radio people saying, "Oh, it's disrespectful that the Ravens do their 30th annual celebration when we play them." And we're like, most people are like, "You were going to do that in that first game. It just first home game. It just so happened that we were playing you guys. Like, grow a pair. Like, grow a pair. Like, you at least kept your records. Like, what you're, yeah, it's like that was just ridiculous. Grant Delpit, I'll give the Browns credit for this. They said it's not hard to tackle Derrick Henry. I thought that was a dumb mistake, but he only rushed for 24 yards. They did a good job. Now, one or two more big runs, and he goes for 50, 60, 70 yards. They would be memed like crazy. Jerry Jeudy, dude, where were you? You said that the Ravens secondary had no challenges. You got a couple of nice catches. They clamped your ass down. They clamped you most of the time. So maybe the Browns should not talk so much. And then also like the Shedeur Sanders thing. Apparently the Ravens were going to draft him, and then he didn't want to be a backup to Lamar, which I get, but also if Tyrod Taylor is your floor, because remember Tyrod Taylor was drafted by the Ravens. That's a good career. Hunter, do you have any thoughts on the radio talk about the 30th anniversary, Shedeur, Do you have any thoughts about that stuff?
The Browns have always talked a lot of smack for a long time, but really don't have anything to back it up. They still hang a banner for beating the Steelers that one time in a playoff game a few years ago. Okay, cool, whatever. I saw there's a comment about Myles Garrett said this after the game where he's like, yeah, this was completely unacceptable. It's like, dude, you decided to sign back and chose the money over going to get a ring. Also, after you requested a trade and then you rescinded it. I don't think you have any room to talk, man. There is a very good argument that he is the best pass rusher in football. I have no problem admitting that, even though TJ Watt is on my team. Myles Garrett's a freak show. But I don't think he has any room to really talk when you kind of just you're just going to rot away in Cleveland. He's not going to win anything unless he leaves. So, whatever. I think Kevin Stefanski is a dead man walking there in Cleveland. I'm not sure he survives this season. That team's going to lose, I think, at least 10 plus games. Other than that, I don't have too many other thoughts. That game went the way I expected it to. You saw JJ McCarthy get hurt last night. He has a high ankle sprain. He's probably not going to play against the Steelers. The Chiefs-Eagles game was a lot of fun. Adit, the Chiefs are a bit concerning so far. In my opinion, I think they will be totally fine. They will probably win at least 12 games this year. They will probably still win their division. And they will probably still get at least one playoff game. The Chargers loss was a little concerning, but then they played the Eagles, and the Eagles are still the Eagles. But I think the Chiefs are still going to be fine. But I will say this. They need another legit playmaker. Obviously, you have the whole thing with Rashee Rice. Xavier Worthy has been in and out of the lineup. Travis Kelce is still there, but he's not the same Travis Kelce anymore. He's still good, but he's not the elite level Travis Kelce. They need more playmakers. Patrick Mahomes, I don't think can do this by himself. I think he needs a little bit more help. He's done it by himself for a lot of years, but I think he does need some help. Otherwise, that Denver-Indianapolis game was crazy yesterday. That Giants-Cowboys game was nuts. Russell Wilson going off for 440-plus yards. One of the best games I've ever seen him play. And both defenses just taking turns, blowing the lead back and forth, back and forth. That was a really fun game.
Let me ask you a question about that game. Games on the line. Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott at the 50-yard line. Dak Prescott, one Hail Mary attempt or Brandon Aubrey kick to win the game.
Brandon Aubrey kick. I think Aubrey and Boswell are the two best kickers in football.
I agree. Right now, I agree because the guy from the Falcons used to be good. He wasn't playing. I mean, Virginia Tech, ex-Virginia Hokie, John Parker Romo actually had a pretty good game against but also special team. You know what? Special teams was kind of an underrated storyline because you had the whole thing with the Dolphins and the Patriots, a kickoff return followed by a punt, a kickoff return.
Oh yeah, that was funny. And then did you see Mike McDaniel's amazing quote that I'm going to hang up in my room?
Yep. And then the Steelers, obviously, they had their gaff. And then you had the Ravens block a punt as well. You had the whole situation with the field goals. It definitely was highlights and lowlights of special teams. And it's interesting because we are seeing more more kickoff returns now. And it's really good to see more action on those plays now, which is really good to see. Eagles, Chiefs. Eagles are now 17-1 in their last 18 games, or they won the last 3 games against. They've won 3 straight against Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City just looks like it's struggling. I mean, they got traded for a receiver, but I can't think of any receiver that's going to be available right now. I mean, unless they trade for Tyreek, but I don't know if they're going to touch, especially with what he's accused of right now.
Right.
I don't know if they're going to go get him. I mean, maybe Waddle, maybe someone like Waddle or someone. But it'll be interesting what they do there. Bills look good. I mean, you got to be concerned, though, about Milano and Ed Oliver. You got to be concerned about those two getting hurt. But I mean, I think the Bills are the team to beat right now in the AFC. I think it's fair to say the Bills are the team to beat in the AFC right now.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair.
Yeah, so I think it is a good start to the season. Obviously, we do have some quarterback injuries. Joe Burrow, he got the toe injury. He's out for 3 months. McCarthy, Jane Daniels is hurt as well. It's going to be really. It's unfortunate we're seeing all these injuries right now. But yeah, I think that's kind of the top NFL talk. We'll go to college football. We'll focus with Virginia Tech, not on the game because there's a whole lot that's went wrong there. It was announced Brent Pry was fired the next day. I'm guessing that Whit Babcock he's not fired yet, but they have a meeting where they have to get the budget, the plan for the budget in September 30th. Once that gets across, but it was telling that it was Tim Sands that said we're letting go of Brent Pry and not Babcock. And I will say this before handing it off to you. I like Brent Pry. I don't like Coach Pry. So that's basically saying I like him as a person. It seems like he was a good person. I like the fact that he focused on in-state recruiting when we needed that to do. But man, first-time coordinators, offense and defense, not going to work out. Yeah. And he just kept it just kind of felt like he's a great hype man, but you need someone who's a good head coach. So,
I think you said it pretty well, Adit. Great person on and off the field. I feel bad for his family, especially his kids who they just started school. So they might have to move like right now, 2 weeks into a school year. That sucks. That really sucks. And he seemed like he loved Virginia Tech. He's from he grew up in Lexington. He worked as a GA, a graduate assistant, when Beamer and Bud Foster were here. He loves Virginia Tech. I will never not say that. He loved the school. He's a good person. He said all the right things. But when it came to on the field coaching, it didn't work. He wasn't a good head coach. Adit, you can be a really good coordinator, but not a good head coach. You know, Tom Allen, remember when he was the head coach at Indiana? Now he's a really good coordinator. Remember Spags in Kansas City? He was been a head coach before. He's a much better coordinator, and you're seeing that. Sometimes the coaches out there.
Golden, he was decent. I think he was decent in Miami. Then he goes to Notre Dame, and he was good there.
Yeah, exactly. Like sometimes coaches are better as coordinators, and I think Brent Pry after this is probably going to go and get a really good defensive coordinator job whenever he is ready. And I do think his recruiting was decent. Like you look at last year's team, Adit. He recruited a lot of those players, and that team should have been better than 6 wins. There were multiple NFL players on that team. Bashal Tutin, Dorian Strong, Jalen Lane.
By the way, Bashal Tutin, good game for the Jaguars.
Yeah, 100%. He was great. I can keep going if you want me to. But again, like those are just three right there.
On the D-line.
Sorry, what was that?
Peebles on the D-line for Ravens.
APR. Like there was a lot of legit great talent on that team. And they fell short because of bad coaching, I feel like. You said it best when it came to the coordinators. If you are a first-time head coach, you can't go into a year with two people who have never been coordinators before. Chris Marv did not work out. He let him go, yes, which was good, but you should not have made that hire. Tyler Bowen didn't work out either. Offense was too inconsistent. So you come to this year, you change both coordinators. It doesn't fix itself. And then you get embarrassed on your home turf against a group of 5, group of 6 school. Can't happen. And coming up now is probably the most important time in Virginia Tech athletics history. You have to get a big budget here. And the rumor is, indeed, it's going to be about $200 million once they do this. That puts you up near the top of the ACC. It gets you closer. It's not at the top, but it's get you closer. There's going to be a realignment coming in the next 5 to 6 years.
Right.
If you want to position yourself to be in one of those super conferences, then you need to A, have the money, and B, you need to turn around some of your programs, especially football.
And you need to have the fan base. You got to have the fan base as well. And even in that ODU loss, they had like 65, like over 60,000 people go to Lane Stadium. Yeah.
The fan base is great. I'll never discount the fans. This is one of the best fan bases in college football, but they have to get this hire right. I don't think Whit Babcock is coming back. I think he's going to advise the Board of Governors and maybe advise this committee that's going to choose the head coach, but they are going to be trying to choose an AD behind the scenes. You can't bring Whit Babcock back. And you said it. The fact that Tim Sands is the one that made this announcement goes to show that he's not coming back. I think you're going to see big changes here with the school. I think just beyond the AD as well. I think the Board of Visitors are going to do a lot of things here. Honestly, man, it wouldn't surprise me if Tim Sands is out at some point. I can see them hiring a new president. Like, I think you're gonna see a lot of changes here with this school.
Yeah, and you look at some of the candidates. I mean, look, it's gonna be tough. I mean, you gotta, once we get the budget, once we figure out the AD situation, because there's also that possibility of you target an AD knowing that he's going to bring in a coach. So I know that people are talking about Bob Chesney, the JMU head coach. Do you bring in the JMU AD on top of that? Like, do you like? It's going to be interesting where they go. I know people are going to say Michael Vick. The guy's 3 games, maybe a few years from now.
That's a hire you make. You said it. A few years from now. What he is at right now, this is a developmental hire for him. He's getting into coaching. Let's see how he does for a couple years. And then if there's an opening in, say, 3-4 years and he's doing a good job there, then okay, you can look at it. But anything right now, that's ridiculous. Also, Shane Beamer's not coming here. Can we stop with this? I don't know why this is going to – is he going to get a call? Yeah. Is he going to say no? Yes.
Yeah. And it's going to be really tough. Like, do you think that they need to go with a Frank Beamer nostalgia, the connection? Do you think they need to go like up and coming G5 offensive court, like high ranking coordinator? For me, I would like to see them go after, like, I think the Oregon offense coordinator is someone that could be interesting. Like someone from the, like, an assistant from Kirby Smart. Some of these guys that come from a place, like if you can get someone from Kirby Smart from Georgia to come to Virginia Tech and build that culture, that's great. Because I think they tried the G5 hire with Fuente. They tried the nostalgia hire with Brent Pry. You gotta find someone in the middle, right? To me, I think they need to go out and get someone who's worked under a major, like a notable coach, like someone that we can say, this guy was an assistant under Kirby Smart, so we trust him. This guy worked under, like, Oregon with Dan Lanning. He seems to build that culture really well. Someone like that is where I would go.
I think you just need to hire someone who's done this before, not a first-time head coach. I think it needs to be a standing head coach at a program. Like, John Summerall at Tulane, he's going to get a lot of interest. I think he might go to the SEC, but you have to make the call. Bob Chesney at JMU, he's had a really good year so far.
What about Goresh from USF?
Yes, I think that's someone you can also call as well. But you can also, I think Virginia Tech needs to open up their wallets here. You need to swing big. Shoot your shot with a big-time coach. Even though it's a dream, pitch yourself. Give your pitch. If you get the budget and it's $200 million, if not more, give your pitch to a standing coach who has success. Could be a Big 12 school, could be a Big 10 school, SEC school. Give your pitch. You got nothing to lose. I do think there'll be, if there is a new AD, I think there will be more interest, because I don't think a lot of coaches want to work for this current administration, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely there has to be a budget. You got to figure out the rest. I mean, Matt Campbell. What about someone like Matt Campbell, who might be topped out at a certain bigger school? Yep. So like that would be interesting.
How about
Um,
Eli Drinkwitz of Missouri? That'd be fun. I don't think he'd do it, but I would love to hire him.
yeah, and I think there was someone on, I can't remember who it was. They suggested he's someone from Memphis. I I'm only putting his name out there only to say that yeah, I know they went out got Fuente. Let's keep an open mind with some of these other guys that might look like a Fuente hire. But then you also have guys like, I mean, Charles Huff is interesting. And some people are suggesting Dan Mullen. I don't know if they're going to do. I don't know if they'll do that. Go that way. But yeah, it's just again, it's just preliminary. All we know is Brent Pry is not going to be the head coach anymore. Whit Babcock more than likely will not be the he will not he more likely won't be the AD. We're just right now waiting for the budget, and once that meeting happens, we'll cover it. We'll cover what the budget looks like and what it can be. So some baseball news. The Orioles have struggled. I think that's fair to say for multiple reasons. A lot of people have questioned whether Mike Elias' job is safe. Apparently, and this happened last offseason, he was quietly promoted to president of baseball operations. So you look at the Cubs with Epstein, with Theo Epstein for a little bit. Andrew Freeman was the Dodgers. Dombrowski was the Phillies. You have president of baseball operations, which seemed like a big picture, big long-term, big picture guy, and then you hire a GM. So they're going to be on the market for a GM. Now, we know the Nationals are also going to be on the market for a GM. The Red Sox also, they have Craig Breslow, who's president of baseball operations. He's kind of been the GM as well for the last couple of years. It seems like they're going to try to find a GM as well. So my perspective, Mike Elias this tells me that they buy into his at least long-term vision, and you're just bringing in someone to handle the day-to-day. The tough part is with this isn't going to, like the Nationals, and you could kind of say if you agree with this, whoever you get, they are going to, as much as ownership allows them to, and that's a big if, use their vision, whatever resources, whatever guys they want, whatever people they want, they are going to bring in those guys. With the Orioles and the Red Sox, but mainly the Orioles situation. You know you've got Steve Meidel, you know you got Eve Rosenbaum, you know Mike Elias, you got their long-term plan. You just need someone to handle the day-to-day, talk to the agents, fill in the player contracts, all that stuff. That's what makes this job search a little tricky. Because if you're an up-and-coming GM or assistant GM, I'm willing to put money on my first opportunity. I want to be able to hire my own people. I want to be able to fulfill my own vision. You're not going to be able to do that with the Orioles. What are your thoughts on these openings for the GM?
Well, the Nationals have been doing their interviews. I think the reporting is they want this done by the end of the season so that they can get a head start on what probably is going to be a busy offseason. I know it sounds like they've interviewed the Chicago Cubs general manager, which I don't think he runs the show. I want to say
I don't know. Theo Epstein is the president of baseball operations. I'm guessing not Theo Epstein. I think they have a president of baseball operations, and this guy is the GM.
Yeah, so, the president I think runs the show there. The GM just kind of handle some of the smaller things, but I think they want him to be the executive vice president of baseball operations. They want him to run the whole show here. The Cubs GM right now doesn't run it. The president of baseball operations does. They've interviewed him. They've interviewed someone from the Dodgers. It sounds like they've interviewed someone. It looks like from the Cleveland Guardians as well. I've seen like 6 to 7 names out there, if not more. They're doing a robust search. Like they're trying to do this as methodically as possible because whoever they hire, they're going to run the whole show here. Like this is going to be executive vice president or president of baseball operations / GM. Like they're not going to hire anyone else. It's going to be one guy, and he's going to be bringing whoever he wants, scouts, assistant GMs, other evaluators, all that. And then this decision maker will also get to hire the next manager because Davey Martinez was also let go earlier this year. So I think they're being cautious, they're being careful, and we just have to see who they decide to hire. It's a big one just because of the future of this organization. We still have to see what happens with the Lerner family. Do they decide to sell at some point? Hopefully they start opening up their wallets if they don't want to sell. But they're taking their time, which is fine with me.
Yeah, and this was gonna be really interesting, connecting it the Orioles National situation. I wonder if some kind of the Orioles have asked to interview Cubs assistant GM, director of scouting, Dan Krastovich, which interestingly enough, one, he's a scouting director. He's rejected an interview with the Orioles and then Mets, and also with the Mets in the past. He's a scouting director. He's kind of been limited as a scouting director, so it seems like he's picking his spots. But you mentioned that the Nationals were talking to the Cubs GM, which if he were to go to the Nationals, then maybe you start to see some of these guys that the Orioles or the Red Sox want to interview, and they're saying, no, let's wait. Let's wait until the Nationals hire their guy, because if you're the Cubs assistant GM, if you're the White Sox assistant GM, if some of these spots open up, there might be some internal promotions coming up. So that's going to be really interesting. That's going to be really interesting there. So a few names, there's a long shot, and I know everyone is talking about him as a manager, but Skip Schumacher has some experience in the front office last couple of years. Maybe you could get him to be a GM and then have Skip Schumacher then hire the manager if you're Baltimore, or Red Sox or whatever, or whoever else. One name for Baltimore, I don't know if he already rejected an interview or something. Pete Patila, he was a Houston guy with Elias and most of the people in the Orioles front office. He's been a GM for 3 years. Currently, he's the head of international scouting for the Braves. That would be someone I'm looking at, but this will be an interesting search with the GM. I know Orioles fans are saying, well, why are you announcing it now? I think they hope to have their GM in place and then say Mike Elias is moving up to president of baseball operations and this is a GM. And it just so happened that we're now at the point where these candidates are now looking at, do I wait? Do I not wait? Hey, I'm getting the sense that the person above me is going to get fired, or there's a person above me that's in consideration for another GM job. If that person becomes a GM over there, I might get that internal promotion. And so now this search might go public. So they have to go out and just say, yep, we're looking for a GM. So it's going to be interesting, because at first with the Orioles, like for fans, it's like, oh, who's going to be the manager? But now it's who's going to be a GM and then who's going to be the manager. And with the Orioles and Nationals in slightly similar situations, I think the Nationals are looking more towards more of a rebuild than the Orioles are. I think that's fair to say. Look, the searches might overlap with each other. It's going to be really interesting to see there. We'll end the show on that note. Just a quick update on the Monday Night Football game between the Buccaneers and the Texans. Buccaneers are up 14-10, but the Buccaneers kicker missed a 38-yard field goal.
Baker Mayfield's getting me my fantasy points. That's all that matters.
Yep. So we'll see you next week. We'll talk, depending on our schedules, we'll see you next week. We'll talk about this current week of the NFL, and we'll see what else is up.
Yep. See you soon.